Good afternoon. So today what we have got here is few examples of integrated services. So we actually were looking at the toilets, the toilet design. So we finished the residential component and then we also introduced you the uh, uh, kind of a public toilets in the public buildings. So let's also understand what are the and how they are getting integrated in the earlier examples. And then we'll also show you certain examples of public toilet which are being constructed around the world. Uh, so this is Jawahar Kala Kendra in Jaipur. This is a building which is done by Charles Correa. It actually talks about, it is about reviving the Rajasthan's rich folk culture. The plan of the institution is inspired from the original city of Jaipur, which comprises of the 9 squares. Uh, with the central square, he's left it open, so it's the courtyard typology that he has done because it's also climate responsive architecture that he has created. It's also the city plan is recalled by rotating and displacing one of the squares, which also creates an entrance space, which is on the right side corner. Okay. Uh, so this is the images of the Jawahar Kala Kendra, Jaipur. These are the courtyards formation that are there. Now let's understand how the services are tucked in within that entire concept of the 9 squares. So the manifestation of a heavily concept-laden design did not prohibit the architect from incorporating the necessary services in the design. Thus, the abstraction of concept should not deter or provide for a hindrance in making the building functional through services. So, a lot of the times there are a lot of apprehensions regarding that the toilets shouldn't be placed in such a way, in a particular manner, because aesthetically they are not appealing. Uh, Whether you really need to put toilets integral to your plan or you want to put them separate and things like that. So there are a lot of these thought processes which comes across when you're designing any kind of institutional building or commercial building or a public building. So here, even if the concept was about the 9 squares, and they were talking about how, and it's about reviving the Rajasthan folk culture, but one has to also understand that your services are going to make that building functional. So that's how they have actually placed the toilets. So the toilet facilities which are being placed, they are all naturally ventilated. So in the earlier standards, when we talked about that, the make sure that your toilet has an external wall so that there is a certain amount of daylight that penetrates in. There is a certain amount of ventilation that happens. So even in toilets, even if the air exchange rate is very less, but there has to be a mixing of fresh air constantly happening and the flush out of the stale air, and because of which the external wall becomes very important. And that's how the orange blocks are actually your toilets which are being marked out. Yeah, and even the blue one. So this is how they have put the uh, toilet blocks. Also try and understand, one is where you see the blue square and the orange square or orange rectangle. Those both are on the external. So taking out the soil water or your black water or the gray water, which is the wastewater, from your toilets, and connecting it to the city drain will be easier, or your septic tank. And similarly, you where your orange blocks are, where the other block is being projected out and tilted, they also through the plinth they can easily take out the drainages. Yeah, so you actually don't mingle with the foundation of the building. This is in another project, which is the Ningbo History Museum in Wangshu. It's a three-storied museum. Distinctive facade is largely composed of the debris collected from the surrounding area. So if you actually look at the building from the outside, it's quite robust, and it has these small windows which are being placed, and that becomes the architectural language for the building. The walls of the Ningbo History Museum features a wide range of recycled bricks and tiles, some of which date back over thousands of years. So the building itself becomes like an archival process. Okay. Uh, Also, it talks about the large amounts of concrete which is being used in the building to contrast with the recycled elements, with the two different materials often meeting in the same wall. So here the materiality of the project is very different. One is also about upcycling or recycling the waste, but there is another new material which is also being introduced. Now here it's not, so structurally that material is very stable. We are talking about concrete here. And also what happens is it tries and complements the existing recycled materials as well. So on the huge concrete walls, you will find a rich bamboo texture, while the use of traditional recycled materials has a relation to the tradition, but it's used in a new way. So that's the architect Wangshu is talking about. These are the images and how the buildings are being placed and the kind of materiality which is being expressed explicitly. And there are different kinds of materials which are playing its, and creating that kind of a charisma between the buildings and the spaces designed. Now, these are the toilets which are being, or the services which are being uh, aligned as per the building. Now, actually, if you see, there are toilets on the external as well, or there are these ducts that run on the external, which are these orange blocks. But if you see the images, you hardly can identify from where exactly that duct is running. Okay. So we are trying to show you these images or these kinds of examples because what happens is throughout the years we have been seeing that whenever you put a toilet or you design a toilet, you will try and put the toilet duct next to it. So duct is not the only solution to it. You need to understand what kind of toilets you have been designing and what kind of facades you can modulate depending on different. So that's the innovation part. So in spite of having sloping walls, all toilets have external walls for ventilation. So which means that few of the windows here might be the toilet windows or are the toilet windows rather. Yeah. Look at the staircases which are being put, which is another, it's a transitional space. It is part of services, aligning your staircases correctly so that the occupants or the inhabitants who are moving through the buildings don't have to walk a lot. So ease of access is there. Toilets are opening in the corridors, okay, which means it's easily accessible within the public buildings. You don't have to look around. So there will be signages which will easily, guide you towards the toilet block. Then there is this is the duct. Then there is a part of the office space which is there, which has a singular toilet. So in the public buildings, you will always have one service core which has the maximum amount of cubicles and the toilets there, but also where your cabins are, even in your conference rooms or audiovisual rooms that you have, you generally have a private kind of a closet which is being attached to these functions as well, because every time you can't expect when a board meeting is happening or any kind of conference is happening that people are getting out and then trying to hunt for a public toilet which is right at the other end of the building and so on. There are no habitable spaces above the toilets which are being put. So sometimes your toilet might be not be continuous, but the ducts might be. And that's how we last time in the class we talked about the stackable, that you have to stack your toilets one top of the other. You can't stagger them. This is another building by Zaha Hadid, which is Haider Alevia in Baku. So it establishes a continuous fluid form. So the fluid relationship between its surrounding plaza and the building interiors. The plaza has the ground surface accessible to all parts of the Baku's urban fabric, rises to envelop an equally public interior space and define a sequence of even spaces dedicated to the collective celebration of contemporary and traditional Ajari culture. Elaborate formations such as undulations, bifurcations, folds, and inflections modify this plaza surface into an architectural landscape that performs a magnitude of functions, welcoming, embracing, and directing visitors through different levels of the interiors. With this gesture, the buildings blurs the conventional differentiation between the architectural object and the urban landscape. So if you see the below, which is the nighttime image, and see it's actually about the undulating surfaces that happens over the so you have this public plaza, and that entire plane has been lifted, and the building is created of that. So as a visitor, when you are approaching the building, you feel that it's the whole. ground which is being modulated, and then they become the roof, and that's the part of the whole building. So the fluidity is being maintained. So here it was very important for us in terms of the concept design. The architect is able to actually, uh, you know, not divert away from the whole conceptual idea of fluidity, but try and make that transition into an architectural building altogether. So because a lot of the time when we are dealing with our architectural design studios, a lot of the time happens when we do design in terms of conceptual ideas, but when it comes to resolution or making it much more functional, and when you try and start putting your services into place, a lot of students feel that they're doing a lot of compromises and their whole design is changing. That is because you guys are not attempting enough, or you guys are not innovating enough. So these are the perfect examples where the architect actually starts with a conceptual idea, and he or she does try to take it to the extreme, where the implementation happens. Of course, there are certain kinds of compromises and adjustments that you need to do in terms of your design, but the overall concept does stay strong, clear and strong. So that's where the services are. Now the services are mechanically ventilated here, because if you actually see this, if you see the entire thing, there are no perforations, there are no openings which are there on the outer skin. Okay, that continuity has to be there. So now the compromise here is that the architect has actually relied on a mechanical ventilation system and not on the natural ventilation system. Okay, but in spite of the fluid form of the buildings, all services, especially toilets, are stacked on top of each other for efficient functioning. Now try and understand where the adjustment of the compromise is. It's not on staggering the toilets just to make sure, but it's actually prioritizing on the functionality. So when the toilets are stacked on top of the other, they will extremely work efficiently. Okay, but at the same time, you can always work efficiently with mechanical ventilation. The only uh, kind of a negative point or a backdrop here is, uh, what happens is the energy that you're utilizing to operate and maintain your building is higher, because you're relying on external mechanical fans to extract the stale air. But that is okay, because when this building was designed, it was not about energy conscious building. But right now, it would be difficult to make such decisions as well, just to understand what are the energy consumptions of the building. These are the another placements of the toilets. Again, they are stacked exactly one top of the other. Now, this is the public toilet, which is done by the Edge Studio. It's in China. Uh, it's actually a very it's part of the urban fabric, and it is made up of materials which are very easy to maintain, uh, and also very easy to assemble the whole building up. And it actually acts like a public space, and you can actually see that the existing trees which are there, which are being maintained. So the entire form of the building is driven by the way the trees are placed, and then that's how the entire form is being streamlined, and then it becomes like this kind of a public space within this thick grove of trees. And you can actually see on the floor is these IC chambers, which are nothing but your drainage lines, which are required to travel your wastewater, which gets generated in your toilets. This is another view which talks about how the entire placement of the building occurs, and it's purely done on the basis of the trees, positioning of the trees. Look at the signage, which is very minimal, and also the signages happen right at the corner, because the way the entire it's form of the leaf. The way the entire leaf is being put onto the plan, from wherever the person is accessing these blocks, you could easily see the signages and know where exactly you want to head to. That's the window which is there actually, which is talking about your relationship with the external, so that there is a constant exchange of air that happens, and also there is a certain amount of daylight that gets penetrated through. That's another image where you actually see how the roofs are. The roofs are in the form of this inverted leaf, wherein actually there is a rainwater harvesting that also happens. At the moment you pull up the roof or the entire leaf palette that you see, you actually create this space for the daylight to enter, the ventilation to happen, but at the same time, the roof is actually capturing the rainwater as well. This is in another image. That's the approach road that happens. See how the entire roof is being lifted up. Now here you're talking about different. There is a women's restroom. Then you're talking about a nursing room where you have to feed the baby or you have to change the nappy and things like that. And then there is something which is about the specially abled people as well. Now that's how the construction is happening. It's very lightweight. Okay, and that's how these are the two pillars in which the entire roof is being, resting on. So there it's a steel construction. That's how the internal image. So these are those bars which are there to hold for the physically abled. So that's on the right hand side. Can you see this red triangles which are there? That is nothing but your emergency, that point which you can press and ask for help in case of any emergency which is there. So all these components we have actually seen in the earlier presentations. That's the amount of daylight that's coming, and there is a constant where air exchange that is happening. Now on the roof, can you see there is a certain kind of a pattern wherein it's not a plain roof. So what happens is it actually the way the form is being created using these different planes onto the reflected ceiling, it actually enhances the daylight inside because it tries to deflect. So there is a lot of reflection. It's also very shiny, high reflectance material, so that the daylight you act because what happens because of a thick grove of trees, you any which ways get a very filtered sunlight in. So there is a very less chances of glare, and the intensity of the solar radiation is also very less. But at the same time, the daylight is also going to be the less. So that's why this reflective surfaces allows you to enhance the daylight much more further. That's how and look at the internal artificial lights also the way they are being put in. All the surfaces are very clean and clear. That's the way the partition is done with a mirror, and your bathrooms are there. The grey board, vertical boards that you see between urinals are called the modesty board. Now, where the services are going to run in terms of your pipelines and things like that, you can see there is a masonry wall. And then there is a ledge that gets formed, and then there is a facade that comes over up where the lights are. And at the farthest end, there is a nani trap as well, which you see on the left corner, just before you enter the closets. Now, as I mentioned, that's the amount of coverage of the tree coverage which is there, which is being placed. The height of the crown is more than 15 meters, and the height of the main branch is more than 3 meters. The branches and leaves are luxuriant in summers. The shadow of the trees covers the ground, forming a rare shade in downtown areas. So this is the layout where you can see that there are, you know, so the ones that we saw is the two in the image where you could see there are these wash basins, there are urinals and the two cubicles right at the end. Okay, but otherwise they do have 4 and 5. So there is ladies, there is baby care, there is barrier free one, then there is the manager facility as well, which is there so that it maintains. So you're actually talking about the land area will cover more than 80 square meters and some trees will be cut off. However, the woods are originally uh, the owner of the place. So however, that's why they have actually tried and replanted as well. The heights of the buildings are limited to less than 3.2 meters according to the location of the branch of the trunk. Now, 4 lower and small units are carefully located behind the root range. It's just the natural roots format these four leaves. So that's how the four leaves form, which is these are the roofs. Okay, so that's the four leaf formation which is happening. That's your foundation plan. So each unit is only equipped with two columns that we saw in the image, the steel columns which are there on which the roof sits, and they are arranged on the central axis of the interior to ensure that the column foundation keeps away from the roots. Now, because you have these nice thick big canopy trees, you have to also understand that the root bulb is going to be equally larger. And that's why to safeguard the foundation of the building from the roofs, you have to be very clever in trying to position where your stanchions are going to be or your steel columns are going to be. And that's why they are being centrally placed and they are away from the roots. Uh, Also, the size of the foundation ring beam, which plays a stabilizing role, can be reduced so that the scope of foundation pit excavation can be further reduced to protect the root system. Because the moment you you create any damage to the roots, it's going to be the trees are going to die out. That's how the joinery details are, and that's how it exactly sits. So you have a ring beam that you see. Okay, you have these two steel stanchions which are there, and then you have the roof, which is there right on the top, which is actually rested on this I section, which is there. Okay. And it has the simple system. There will be cleats, which are nothing but metal angles, and there will be nuts and bolts, which are there. Okay. That's the furthermore detail about. See, look at the I sections, C sections that are used. You will also have these smaller channels so that the metal board can be fixed to it. So you have this kind of sandwiched structural system on which on both sides these steel panels are being attached. Steel is very good in terms of utilization because what happens is non-corrosive. At the same time, because there is going to be a lot of humidity being a toilet, uh, the other materials will actually tend to develop certain kind of molds or fungi on the internal surfaces, and if they are not being maintained and cleaned. So steel becomes very easy because it's a plain surface, smooth surface, doesn't accumulate dot of dirt, and there is definitely no fungi or growth of any kind of molds. That's the section through the project which is there. Now look at the roots of the trees and look at where the foundations are. And that's how they have maintained the distances. Okay. And that's why if you see that particular leaf is being placed also where they could get this kind of a seamless continuity. And then that's why there are these four. So the entire form and your placement is depending on it's being driven by the trees which are being located within that area. This is in another public toilet which is there, which is actually it's a rural public toilet, but it creates a community space. So it's no more looked as, oh my God, it's a public toilet. Who is going to go there? You know, it's going to stink a lot, or there is always an overflow of drainage or something. It's not being maintained. There is foul smell and things like that. But instead of that, it's been placed in such a way that there is a pond which is right next to it. The entire facade is being developed in such a way that the building or the form of the building is such that it actually also couples up as a public space. So the landscape toilet, it's called the landscape toilet in Zuzai village. Kaiping is located in the famous hometown of the overseas Chinese and the central part of the Kaiping city. The hometown of, uh, sorry for the pronunciation, but it looks like it's Dialu. The design site is located in the original site of the old public toilet in Zuzai village. The old materials after the demolition of the old public toilets are reused to complete the double regeneration of the old public toilet and the old materials. So, which means there is a lot of utilization of the earlier building debris within the new building. So that's how it looks like. That's another image. about how people have been utilizing the spaces around that public toilet. The use of the uniform module steel wire cage allows the brick and the tile in the cage to have an extremely free organization. So because they have created this metal module, and within that they stack up the debris which are being collected from the earlier public toilet building. And it actually becomes like a piece of local historical fragmentation, breaking up these fragments and organizing them. So this entire paraphernalia which is created around the public building, actual public building which is housed inside that, is from the reminiscence of the earlier building, and it just gives you like a historical fragmentation. So you're constantly moving through the history as well as the existing new building. That's the entrance and that's the wire gate. So if you see, it's actually a RCC structure, but this entire ribbon like facade that runs across the entire form makes it much more dynamic space. Yeah, that's the selection of the material is very important. The design tries to create a new modulus and order and reuse the old bricks and tiles that have lost modulus after crushing and cannot be reused. So the old materials can continue to write history in the new form. As I told you, you're constantly moving through the history as well as the existing or the future. That's the interior. Again, look at the kind of ventilator which has been placed right at the top, which actually draws in the daylight and also the ventilation. Now, because it's community toilet for the children, they have actually done a kind of a placemaking for the kids as well, wherein the wash basin is being, placed little lower so that it's easy access for the kids. These are your cubicles which are there. Okay, and that's the urinals with the modesty board, and then that is, you can actually see through the facade, and also the gap between the roof and the entire wall which is there. Now that's the overall plan of the public toilet which is there. If you see, there are actually series of steps which gives you access to the entire roof as well. So the roof becomes like a community space or a gathering in the evenings. The steps become like a recreational space where people sit. There is this entire pond, so you can actually sit on the roof and overlook the pond. You also have the series of spaces which are created as a forefront to the public toilet building, which again becomes like a recreational facility. So it doesn't look like a public toilet for the village, but it actually looks like a public toilet which is an added infrastructure to the recreational facility which is created along the water body which is present. In the design of architectural form, landscape-like treatment is selected in the design. Part of the functional area of the toilet are hidden under large steps for villagers' daily entertainment and activities, which solves the contradiction between the convenience and concealment of public toilets. Which means that there is already a skylight and the tree comes through that skylight. Then there is this terrace with the steps, and that steps actually faces these. It becomes like a meeting point and an entertainment activity point. But otherwise, if you see, because a public toilet and the function of the public toilet is a very kind of a private space, it is being actually tucked inside. And then it has this kind of paraphernalia which is being created around the building. This is the plan of the public toilet, where you actually have a ramp to access it so that it's universally accessible. Then you come in, and then there is this, handicap toilet, which is right on the extreme top there. In front of that, you have these stack of urinals with your Indian as well as Western. So there is also, you can choose. And then there is a wash basin which is there. There are series of other wash basins with these cubicles which are there. Okay. So there is nothing like a separate gents and a separate ladies kind of a toilet, but it's more like a community. And if you understand, the spaces are being, uh, you know, uh, positioned in such a way, or the blocks have been organized in such a way that it gives you privacy within that space. It never creates that kind of wherein you are going to see through in someone else's and, invading someone else's privacy. At the same time, you remember we saw the urinals with that open blocks, which are actually where this semicircle with that one wash basin, that part, that is that area. So you can definitely see through, but at the same time, someone else can't peep through it because it just creates this internal kind of a courtyard space, and then there is another brick facade which is there. So it gives you ventilation, but at the same time, it still gives you the privacy as well. Um, I was, yeah, that is what I was referring to. I hope that's clear. So in this, that's the window which is there. Okay, and that's the brick wall that projects out where the characteristic stone gate wall is written. So that's the space that was being shown in there. Look at how the trees are being carved out. Okay. Now this is the whole construction process of the wall. It actually follows the gravity rule. The lower the weight uh, the upper cages needs to bear, the greater the freedom of masonry, which means that you will always have a heavy pile stacked right at the bottom, and as you move away from the gravity, you will have the lighter ones. Mortars, broken bricks, old teapots, and other special materials are used in the materials in creating this entire cage. So in certain of the blocks, you will actually see that people are placing their teapots, the ones which are abandoned and things like that. So it looks like more like a gallery as well. And it becomes like the old wall also becomes like an archival system for the entire village. These are the elevations which are there. I'll just run through these fast. This is in another one which talks about the wooden benches which are there onto the staircases, which just acts like an aesthetic feature, and also people would sit on it. Then there is garden trees which are being, projecting out from these courtyards. There are resting platforms which are there. There's an old brick wall which is created. This is another yellow. This is actually the section through the building. Now, in this section, if you see where the terrace is, and if you see the projection of the terrace, it's also very important because especially during the rainy season. Also, if you understand there is a slight bund which is there at the edge, which a lot of students forget. And that bund is also very important because the waterproofing requires that kind of a bund. So you will never have a slab which just ends abruptly. You will always have this slightly bund which happens. So that you actually at the edge you get a thick line. Okay. So it doesn't look like a parapet, but at the same time, because of the waterproofing that has been required. See on the left hand side, you can see on the right hand side as well, it's there. So that's the bund that I was talking about. This is in another one which talks about the skylight, the restrooms, the wooden bench, the steps, and the brick wall. That's the front. Now there are two examples which are being done by Rohan Chavan, architect, who practices in Thane. This is actually the concept came from his, you know, the London famous telephone booths or the post boxes in the buses, which is the stark red color, which is there. So here we are talking about a project area of 1670 or 115 square meters, and it's actually called the pause restrooms. So it's actually been designed for these truck drivers, which is there. So it's not only a kind of a toilet, okay, but it enhances the amenity in a way that there are other ancillary functions which are being attached to it. Like, for example, now this is actually looking at a senior citizen toilet where you definitely give like a resting, sitting area. So people, when they are standing and things like that, or waiting for their turn to come, they can actually sit. It's again, it's a masonry structure which is there, but if you see the roof is a very lightweight steel structure. So again, it's a composite building which is there. That's how you enter, and then from that's the aisle that goes. Now this is how it looks like, the facility, okay, which is called the pause restrooms. You have these individual restrooms, and you also have, resting facility for the drivers. Then you have another, functions like you have your pan bidi shop, which is there. You have a small barber saloon, which is there. So on your, stop over or the pause over, you can actually have these kinds of, these are necessity requirements, but it's quite nice to have it on the go, because you are talking about truck drivers which actually are being traveling for days and nights constantly on these highways which are there. So these kind of pause moments are important for them. uh, it is being designed with a set of facilities to serve the truck drivers and the common public. The long horizontal red building has multiple access points, where each point defines a special facility. A wall alongside the men's and the women's toilet moves beyond the building outline to create an opening that allows for a lot of natural light and the ventilation that happens. Okay, now if you see here as well, through the entire space between your beam and the wall, there is this nice clear story slit that runs around, which exchanges the air. At the same time, it also exchanges your uh, it also gives in the daylight. There is a kind of a slight partition, which is very pervious partition between the cubicles and the urinals. And if you see, the urinals actually have a ledge wall, and behind that, he has just placed the planters. And he has utilized that space of the planters to draw in the daylight. So basically, we are talking about truck drivers' facility. It includes haircutting saloon. There is an Indian toilet, a recreational space for washing and drying of clothes, and a pantry. The special facilities are planned to serve truck drivers who drive continuously for 18 to 20 hours. So this is the kind of a pause space that you want to offer them. So this is a classic example of an urban design project, insert of an urban design. So that's the entrance. Now that's the facility wherein you can see there are these cots or khatiyas which are being placed. These are their resting. There is a small pantry which is being there within that, niche. And as you move ahead, you have the barber saloon and things like that. So here also the architect has actually kept the trees as it is. Okay. The only advantage here is these are all coconut trees. Okay, so the stems are quite slender and they go high up there. So unlikely the earlier project where they were these nice thick foliage, larger canopy trees which were there. That's another image. That's the Indian toilet which is there. So look at the signage that is being created. There is a TV which is being kept. There is a washing machine which is tucked there. You can see between the two red walls a white. Yeah, that is for their washing area, and then you can dry out your clothes as well. This is by the same architect, which is called the Light Box. The design of the restrooms has been conceptualized around a tree for two reasons. One, to express the idea of integrating nature and context in the built form and using its characteristics to protect from climate. Secondly, the shade of the tree protects the garden below and the sun, allowing filtered light. And then it's only needed a transparent cover to protect from the rain. So you are taking care of all the weathering conditions which are there. The intervention actually helps to maintain the light quality, and it also, especially when the site is being empty, this was a crucial factor for the designer's point of view, as a result of which intervention through the day, the natural light lights up the box, filtering through the trees, and at the night, the box lights the surrounding. And that's why it's called the light box. So, depending on how the progression happens throughout the day, it's first the daylight lighting the box, and then the box itself illuminates the entire surrounding. That's how it looks like. It has been installed. This has been done and executed in Thai. This is how it looks like in the night, where he was talking about how the entire box illuminates and lights up the entire surrounding, which is there. So it's actually Restroom is not just a polished word for the toilet at Agasti, a social enterprise working in urban sanitation in Mumbai. So Agasti is an NGO which has been working uh, very actively regarding sanitation, urban sanitation in Mumbai. It talks about a restroom in a public toilet that is unique in terms of both form and function. So, beyond the obvious public toilets, the restroom aims to provide women an exclusive social space, something that is a typical of the urban landscape in India, which means the pause points. Especially when, so you can imagine a kind of a basti which is residing next to this. Uh, Light box, and a lot of people are actually relying on the light box for their day-to-day you know infrastructure requirements, and then it also becomes like a social space. And also because it's much more open and airy, people tend to do less vandalism because you don't know you're being watched and seen from what side. So it's almost like a surveillance that is being on you, and because of which you behave properly and there is less vandalism that happens. And also the openness gives the women a sense of security. It's no more becoming these dark, dingy spaces, especially the public toilets, because the women's will be always tucked right at the farthest corner. So those kinds of things could be avoidable. Also, the kind of whole architectural language is being totally changed. So when you think about a public toilet, you actually have a certain image that comes. So these examples or these architectural interventions actually break that notion completely, and it explains you that how if you put your energies in terms of your design well, it's not going to be so banal or very kind of a boring kind of an architectural language for such functions. In a warm climate like India, people have a different relationship to the built form. One needs but minimal protections, such as a chhatri and overhead canopy, during the day. In the early morning and the night, the best place to be is outdoors under the sky. And this has been said by Charles Corey, and that's why you will see that whenever he has designed his buildings, you'll always see there is a intricate inside-outside relationship that's happening. You take it like Bharat Bhavan, or we just saw his Jawar Kendra where the courtyards formation is there. So he uses these kinds of architectural elements to enhance the whole experience, which are also very crucial in terms of climate responsiveness. So that's another image which talks about, again, the materials. If you see, they are lightweight, they are ones which can be easily maintained and cleansed. That's the internal image which is there. Can you see that there is a daylight that is also happening from the top? So which is nothing but a perforated wire mesh along with an acrylic to it. The grab bars which are there. This is your universal accessible one. So that's the structure, the superstructure which is raised on the plinth. And I'll tell you why the plinth has been raised as well. But that's the metal structure, okay, or you could say the scaffolding, and then that scaffolding actually takes up the whole materials like these stainless steel wire meshes or your grills, and then your metal surfaces which are mirrored finished. Now he has retained the tree as it is. Now that's the plinth. Before the plinth, that is how your septic tank is. So all the drainage that actually goes right into the septic tank there and there. Now look at the tree trunk and the distance from the tree trunk. It's not hugging the tree trunk, or it's not very close also. There is easily a meter and a half which is being maintained between the two. Yeah, and these are nothing but baffle walls. So whenever we'll do septic tanks and your water tanks and things like that, I'll explain the baffle walls. But just understand for now that this is where all the wastewater that is being formed in your toilet block is being collected. So the restrooms for women actually measures 30 feet by 10 feet. So this is a very interesting slide for me because it actually uses a human, and it tries to give a kind of a scaling that the architect has used. So it actually talks about a kind of a common height of 5 feet 5 inches or 6 inches, and then you try and place all your heights of the entire form accordingly. So it has four blocks at two ends, At one end, there are two toilets with a common wash basin, and at the other end, there is a nursing room and a toilet for handicapped and senior citizens. The center of the restroom is a garden measuring 15 feet by 10 feet, which is used for various activities like place to rest, free gallery, to display art for amateur artists. So some, those areas are actually being used as gallery space as well. Or for lectures and awareness campaigns. Lectures, it's especially for the night schooling kids, or also for the kids who are for those mobile vans or the street kids schooling, celebrating festivals, seasonal activities, and events. The central garden is a metaphor to spaces where people can sit and relax under a tree in shade and socialize. So, actually, if I have to look, this is a tree which gives you shade. It's almost like sitting below the below the tree and having that shade or enjoying that shade. Now, that's the plant below the ground. Okay, so you have a water tank which is there, then you have a soil filling for tree which is there, so that your tree is being retained as it is. Then the three are your biodigesters which are there, 3 and 4. Then you have fifth is basically your service lane so that you can walk through. Okay. Space for the drainage pipes to move through, that is your 6. So this kind of a duct which is on the right and the left side corner, which are. Then there is a sunken slab, which is the 8, which is for your WC. Because as I mentioned earlier, your toilet sunken slabs for the WCs are going to be much more thicker. It's 400 mm. So the entire surfaces are being tucked at the bottom. Now these are the units. You have the small unit, which is just a wash basin and the closet. Then you have something wherein there are two, the medium sizes, and then you have which is your kind of a, these are the modules that have been created. So the one that we saw is your left hand side, wherein you have the two corners, two ends are being occupied, and then you have this central tree that happens, and the exhibition space or the restroom that's around. So there is another one which where he has actually clubbed a male and a female together. The same module he has clubbed in front of each other and created an internal garden in between. So this is another prototype that is being generated by the architect. So this is the plan which we were talking about. That's the space for the overhead tank. So these are your Syntic tank which are there at the top. So from the underground, it's been pumped to your overhead, and from the overhead, it will use the gravity or gravitational force and come and be pulled down where your taps are. Now this is the overall section. Okay, so see the location of your Syntex tanks which are on the top. Yeah, then you have your wash basins. Now you have 4 and 3 are your storages that you need to keep. Third is also your storage. Fourth is your baggage, and things like that. Also, if you want to, you can pull down the door of the cabinet, and then you can use it to change the nappies and or for the feeding purposes and things like that. Then 7 is basically a biodigester. So you will have these baffle walls, and the inverted L kind of pipes that you see are nothing but the overflow water will be actually moving from each of these uh, compartments into the 7. Yeah, thank you. Any questions, guys? Hello, any questions?